My name is Kristen Zellhart. I'm the head coach for Real Meal Hub, and welcome back. I'm doing our wrap-up session of ICollaborate training, and right now I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of everything we've learned and put it into practice by doing a practice session. So we're going to do session 1. Now, before you even start session 1, you'll want to make sure that you've read through their assessment, done your note-taking, and have the room all set up for them. So what this means is the room should be populated with all of their folders, as you can see here on the left, so that they have file folders for their cooking, educational materials, meal planning, their photos, and session 1, since that's what you'll be starting with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right in, and I've already started us on the review whiteboard. Now the reason we have this as the review whiteboard is because this is where we'll be showing all of the different things during session 1, such as their assessment. So when they first log into the room, and after you've greeted them, you've gone through the beginning, you'll want to go over their assessment. So that's why I put their assessment in the review whiteboard. Now just so you know, you can download the PDF file into the room files for your room, and you'll name it after whatever participant you're working with. So that for this one, okay, it's just participant 1 files, but it would be first and last name of your participant. And so you will make sure that's uploaded into the folder, and then you just drag it just like you would. So I can even show you. I have Nick's in here. All I did is clicked on it and I dragged it in, and now you have their assessment. And again, if you want to make it bigger so that you can read it better, you'll come over here and you'll just make it bigger, smaller, whatever you need to do so that you can see it. And then you'll go over this using the template that we've created so that you can quickly go through and just discuss their assessment so that they have a baseline to start with. Once you've finished going over their assessment, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to their action plan. Now this will start out blank, and you'll work together to fill this out. So right now I have this from our coaching session that we just did, and we created the action plan together. We start with the goals, you talk about the habits that they're going to form, you talk about 1 or 2 skills to start with, because this is their baseline. This is where you're going to start with them, and you'll be referring to each week. So you're going to work on this for a few minutes, however long it says in the script, and then you'll use the text box to fill this in. Once you're done with this, then you'll actually go back to the review whiteboard. And next on the review whiteboard, we're actually going to be talking to them about how to use real food and how to incorporate that into their lives, so that we have a specific educational material for that called Nourish Yourself. So come back over here and you'll just repopulate the whiteboard. All right, so now you have Nourish Yourself, and you'll go over this piece. Talk about this for a few minutes, and then once you're done with that, then you're going to go straight into meal planning. So you want to have this whiteboard already up, and again, it should be clear, so let's clear it right now. And the great thing is that you can just press this button clear every week after you've saved the whiteboard. You don't have to actually drag in a new whiteboard. So then you'll work on their meal plan and work with them on that. One thing I didn't show you in the last sessions that I recorded is that you can actually go in here and say you're talking about breakfast and you want to give them an example of breakfast food. Well, in our restricted files, you can go under foods, and right here you have breakfast trio food groups. So I'm going to take this, and this is a photo that I'm going to drag in. Okay, now it's going to come up here first, and we definitely want to move that so it's not into your meal plan. And then we're going to go up here, and I'm actually going to make this much smaller. Like I've showed you this before, this little button right here, this arrow. So now look, I can actually see the breakfast trio. And that's really nice because then I can actually go through it, look at these, look at the meals, and start to populate them. Now we're going to be updating the breakfast trio and making it a little more simple so that we only have, whole grain bread. But this is just an example of how it's used. So I could say, okay, what kind of protein do you want? And then I would just go here and I would look at our lists of protein choices for breakfast. And that just quickens the process. Does that make sense? And then you don't have to keep this in here, but you can if you want. If you want to keep this as a list for your participant. You can also put a list of that in their files so that they'll also have that. And so that's how you do the meal planning. Once you're done with meal planning, you'll want to make sure that they continue to fill out their meal plans for the week. You can also take a screenshot of the meal plan, and this is important to let the participants know that they can take a screenshot of their meal plan, and then they can actually save it, download it, or print it so that they can have it for the rest of the week. Because unfortunately, you can't save a whiteboard as a PDF. A whiteboard always stays as a whiteboard, and it can't be downloaded out of iCollaborate as a PDF or any file like that. It has to be a screenshot, and then they can print it. All right, so we've gone over each of those. And then the last one you'll be doing is the action items. And this is the whiteboard where you go over their homework. So again, all of these whiteboards were created with the templates. So if you go into the Real Meal Hub restricted files, here was the action items whiteboard template. There's also the meal plan template, your action plan template. These are all in here so that you'll have these available. Now, one thing I didn't go over for session 1 is in all of the sessions after session 1, you'll be using your implementation form. So this is a follow-up from the first week to say, let's look at your progress. So you would actually go into the review whiteboard, and that's where you would put this. And this would be during their second session. I'm just trying to capture the flow for the many sessions. So then you would have this in their second session as the first thing that you do. This is the first thing you go over with them. And then you say, okay, we've talked about this. And then you'd want to say, okay, so thank you so much. I'm going to put this, save this and put it into your file. Then you can actually just save this for whatever session it is. So session 2, implementation form. I know it doesn't say session 2 down here. I'm just giving you the example. And then you'd hit save. And then that way you can put that into their session 2. That this is what we went over during session 2. And then each week you could pull this up, adjust it, and then resave it. And this will be there's four sessions per implementation form. And so that way you can just keep updating it, resave it into the next week so they can see the progress they're making. Another important thing to know is how to record. So I'm going to go up here. This is where it says record screen. At the beginning of each session, you'll make sure you ask the participant, is it okay if I record this session? In the first session, you'll explain the benefits of recording, and then you'll hit record. And it'll record during the entire time. You'll see it'll actually say that it's recording up in the top. And then at the end, you just have to make sure you say stop recording. And that will end the recording for that session. If you ever need to look up the recordings, you can actually go into this last tab. And there's none in here right now, but once the recording's done, it will be in here. And then you can right click on that recording and change the name of it so that you can actually have the participant's name and the session number. Makes it much easier to find them once they've been renamed. Okay, so that makes sense, right? What else do we have to go over? So we've got your screenshots. Another really important thing, so at the beginning of a new session, you'll want to still have up their meal plan from the previous week, because you want to be able to talk to them about how their meal plan went. So you don't want to update the meal plan until after you've had that discussion with them. But then say we're in session 2 and they filled out the meal plan and now you've talked about it and you want to start a new meal plan. You're simply going to go click Save as Whiteboard and you'll say Session 1 Meal Plan. Save it so that then it's saved and you can go back to their files, make sure that gets put into Session 1. Okay, and then we'll start a Session 2 since now we're in Session 2. And so you want to make sure that you have that. And then you can put their implementation form in Session 2. And you see how quickly we've kept these up to date. And then all you have to do is you click the clear objects on slides and you have a fresh new meal plan. You just have to remember each week to save it. And then once you've done that, you can even go over to your whiteboards tab and say, you know what, now that I have everything refreshed and updated, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all and I'm going to save so that I have a fresh screen and I want everything to be saved from here. And then throughout your session, make sure you come back here periodically and hit save so that you don't lose anything that you've been working on. So again, you start with their action plan at each session. If you're in Session 2, then you'll move right into their implementation form, which will reflect what's going on in their action plan. So you may be flipping between these two, but you'll be writing on the implementation form. Then you'll go into their next thing you'll do on Session 2 is actually go straight into their meal planning. So you're going to go action plan, implementation, meal planning. And then if you need to review anything else, you simply go to the review whiteboard once you've saved your implementation form, and then you can use any files that you've populated to drag in to say, let's talk about meal planning. Now, one thing, you may not have all the files in there, and you come up in the middle of your session, you say, you know what, I think that they need this file. So say they need another file in meal planning that they don't have yet. Well, while you're talking with them, you can simply come over here, you can say upload file, and you'll just go directly into your Dropbox folder and find the file that you're thinking about. So we can go into Dropbox, and we can say Real Meal Hub. We'll go into the meal planning, and you find just the one you want. Oh, Snacks Made Easy? Okay, great. This is the one. So I'm gonna drag in Snacks Made Easy is what you'll say to the participant. You make sure you uncheck the load directly to whiteboard, and you say start upload. And then you can continue talking with them, and when it's ready, then you can say, okay, and I'm gonna drop it in right now, and then you just drop it in. And then you can begin discussing this. You can go back and forth between this and the meal plan. You can bring in the photos of specific food groups when that becomes available or is needed when you're developing your meal plans. So it's very flowing and smooth once you know how to do each of these things. So as the wrap-up video, I just wanted to show you this all in practice. If you have any further questions, you can email me at kzelhart@realmealhub.com, and I'd be happy to answer any specific questions, and I look forward to working with each of you. Thank you so much.